and welcome. You're watching Newsx and I'm Megha Sharma. There are rescue operations that continue in the collapsed site in Bangkok. There was a 33-story under construction high-rise building that came down after the 7.7 magnitude earthquake struck Myanmar and brought about devastation in the neighboring region of Thailand as well. There were over 90 people, mostly workers, that are still believed to be trapped. There are 12 bodies that have been pulled out so far. A suspicious incident took place morning today when 5 Chinese nationals were spotted trying to illegally remove documents and building blueprints from the collapse site. The 5 people have been detained with 32 documents that were recovered from them. Thailand has also launched a probe since this is the only skyscraper that collapsed due to the earthquake. The China link is also emerging because the building project was a joint venture between a Thai company and the China Railway Number 10 Limited, that is a Chinese state-owned company. I'm going to start my conversation. Professor Madhav Nalapat, your comments first about the situation and particularly the devastation that has been caused in Bangkok by this single building that has collapsed. There are at least 90 people that are feared still trapped. It has been past 72 hours, so the likelihood of them being pulled out of the debris alive is 0. And now we find out that there are these Chinese nationals who have been caught under suspicious activity. What is going to be the outcome of this?
Megha, let me point out that Thailand is got a very ancient culture. It's got a very, very long traditions, and the Thai people are correctly proud of that culture and tradition. So I congratulate the police there for having taken swift action in Chinese nationals removing unauthorized documents. They're possibly related to something that the Chinese obviously did not want the Bangkok authorities to see. It could have been paybacks, it could have been other secrets that the Chinese were keeping. But the reality is that first, that Thailand is a very ancient culture. The people are proud of that culture, and frankly, there's no way Thailand is going to become a satellite of any country. It is not a satellite of the United States. It's not, and it's certainly not going to be a satellite of China. In that context, I'd like to congratulate the Bangkok police for having taken this swift action, and no doubt they will now be looking through those documents and finding out what exactly were the secrets, and thereafter, I guess they're going to prosecute these Chinese nationals. Thank you very much, Megha.
I'm also being joined right now by Brian. Brian is right now in Bangkok at the site of the under construction building that completely came apart, completely collapsed. Brian, what are the updates? Have the police authorities spoken to the media now?
Well, definitely, I've just moved a bit ahead from the main location rather, but definitely, just a while back, the Ministry of Labour was also here, who was addressing the media, talking about the concerns also regarding the site. Very importantly, also we need to note this one very important aspect of the fact that there was this 72-hour window, which was the most critical window, which is now over, and the authorities have clearly stated to the fact that the situation is very intense because they are still trying to find out the people. And even the authorities have also stated that the survivors or the number of survivors are very less. So the people who might be also stuck under the rubble or stuck under the debris, the count is very less, also can be very less as well. So the chances are looking very slim as as they are also trying their best to fetch out as much as debris that can be taken out. Megha.
Okay, all right, stay on with me. Brian, I'm going to get Ambassador Punchok Stobdan into the conversation as well. Ambassador Stobdan, the fact that the maximum number of people that have died in Bangkok because of this calamity that took place 3 days ago is because of the building collapse that has taken place. The law enforcement agencies in Bangkok would be under immense pressure to take action and initiate probe, and that's exactly what they have done. As per the reports by the locals spotted that there were these 5 Chinese nationals, suspicious activity taking place inside the collapsed building. They have reported it to the police, and police have been prompt in action by having arrested them. There is going to be an inquiry that is going to be set up. Do you think Chinese may build pressure on the Thai authorities to release these individuals?
Yeah, they did so some 2 months ago. Some 40 Chinese Uyghurs have been released on pressure. So that has become a huge international issue. Now this has come. Surely the Chinese are going to arm twist the Thai leaders, but I think the present government is quite different from the previous government. You know, this building was given, I believe, to the Chinese for construction by the previous prime minister. So one general, he was very strong general. But this is a logical conclusion because this is the only building which has collapsed in the midst of many other skyscrapers there. So it has become very apparent. It has become very, it's going to become a defining image of Bangkok or nearby whatever that city is, like a New York Tower of the 9/11. This will remain now because the Chinese before projected this building as a, some kind of pride. This is the first skyscraper that the Chinese were building outside China. So a lot of these banners have been put up before with the red color when the Chinese projected that. But now this has collapsed. So this is going to have implication, not just domestic. I think there are going to be a lot of inquiry. I don't think government can hide it because there's a lot of public pressure on that. So there are lessons to be learned. For us, I think just couple of weeks ago, not even weeks, last week Indian Express carried on the front page why the business companies, the Indian business companies wanting investment in India in construction, in ports, in cities, in railways, in metros and other things. So now this comes as a news. We have to think carefully because the Chinese investment will come with certain amount of risk. This is what we'd see. Nobody expected, of course, earthquake will prevail like this, but surely this will have lots of implication in the entire Southeast Asia, not just Thailand. Burma will be quite careful now next door. Like that, many other countries in Southeast Asia is going to learn from this incident.
Yeah. Brian, my colleague, continues to be on the telecast with me. He's reporting live from Bangkok. He is at close by to the site of the accident where the building collapsed. Brian, also, is there information trickling in about the identity of these 5 Chinese nationals that have been caught by the enforcement agencies? We know that one of these Chinese nationals was the the project director, but have they revealed the names?
Well, as of now, still we are still not getting the exact number, the names also of the Chinese identities who were caught. There were 5 nationals, 5 Chinese nationals name was coming, but then again it was it got clear to 4, and definitely one of them was also the project director as well. And very importantly as well, the Bangkok Metropolitan Administration clearly emphasized that only those with explicit approval from the Bangkok governor were permitted to access the site, as stated also by the officials also who were working to assess the full extent of the violation and the significance of the recovered documents. Very importantly also, they added the Bangkok governor also clearly stated that documents were also being removed for routine insurance purpose with no indication of any attempt to conceal information as such. And now there have been police also, stated that there have been arrests also of these individuals who also claimed to be a project director. He was the one individual who was associated with a construction company presenting work permits and documents linking them to the joint venture. Very importantly, it's very critical and important to see how the Chinese authorities reacts on this very arrest, these detainees that have been done by Thai officials as well, because clearly the Minister of Industries has also said that the kind of materials, the cements, the work that was done was not up to the mark, because there are many such skyscrapers, many such high-rise buildings, but nothing major happened. But this is this very one building where it was a joint partnership between Thai authorities, Italian Thai company and Chinese company that was working for 3 years to make this 33-story SAR South building, but unfortunately it fell prey to the earthquake that jolted Myanmar, which is 100 kilometers away, and also the tremors were also felt in this very building where there were 800 people who were working, at that point of time, Liga.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Brian, for giving us those updates. Let me also get in Gautam Mukherjee. Gautam Mukherjee, the question now being raised across the world as this incident comes to light is about the credibility of the Chinese projects that have been implemented or in the process of being implemented all across the globe, whether it is about CPEC, whether it is about building of ports in Bangladesh or Sri Lanka or in Israel, or for that matter about the humongous amounts of investments that are being brought in across the southern hemisphere, or for that matter in Latin America, or for that matter in Africa. Now there is one thing to buy cheap Chinese products, cheap Chinese toys and lights and so on and so forth that stop functioning within a few days, but there's quite another that a building project of billions of dollars has been handed over to a Chinese construction site, and the fact that this is the only building that has collapsed, not a single other building across Bangkok has seen even a hint of destruction or collapse or any sort of problem, but the Chinese building. What does it say about the Chinese work ethic, about the Chinese investments, about the Chinese companies that are either trying to set up their bases in other countries or already have done so?
Well, to be fair, the Chinese have constructed a lot of infrastructure projects in their own country and in various parts of the world without incidents of this sort. Having said that, this was a building under construction. It is possible that it used a rapid construction technique that is also used in America, which is a steel frame, and up it goes in record time. Perhaps they didn't take into account the possibility of such strong earthquakes, and while it was still under construction, down it came. Now, I think they were recovering the documents to try and obscure the investigation. And to that extent, they are obviously embarrassed. And now that they've been caught, it's going to be exposed quite thoroughly. But this is not the norm in Chinese construction. That has to be acknowledged. Okay.
All right. Coming to my other panelist on the telecast with me is Jai Shankar Mukherjee. He is the General Secretary, VHP. He's joining me from Thailand. He's an IT professional. Mr. Mukherjee, the situation tense right now in Bangkok. Questions are being raised by the public over whether there is allegedly gross negligence shown by the construction company over here, that the building collapsed, and the fact that there have been dozens that are feared buried in the debris, under the debris. So pressure mounting on the Thailand police.
So, Megha, what is the exact question?
At this point of time, how is the Thailand authorities going to tackle this? Will this particularly impact adversely the relationship between Thailand and China?
Yeah, we are not very sure how it will impact the relationship between Thailand and China, but overall impact on the people's mind and psychology is really, really very bad. Thailand has never experienced such a huge earthquake, and only one building collapsed. Though there are more than 20,000 buildings which have got multiple cracks, including the building where I stay and reside that has got several cracks. But no building, the building I stay is at least 40 years old, but it has not fallen down. Nothing has been damaged, but there are a couple of cracks. But this building, only one building has fallen down, and 90 people more than that have been buried under the debris. So local Thai people are absolutely talking negative about China, Chinese investment, and business community. I also represent the business Chamber of Commerce, India Thai Chamber of Commerce. The people who are calling us and asking us then whether to travel to Thailand is safe. So tourism has been affected. Investment or people who are planning to buy flats to the high-rise buildings has been stopped in last 4 days, and people are reconsidering their decisions. So overall impact due to this one building collapse is tremendous among the citizens, and that is pressurizing the government to take adequate steps, not only on Chinese organization, rather to reinstate every application on the outsiders or local for the construction companies to recheck their, starting from materials to the approval limits to everything, and to ensure the safety measures are taken by those organizations to prevent the loss of lives of several construction workers. Over to you, Megha.
Okay, coming back to you, Professor Nalapat. So again, the question, will this adversely impact the trade ties between Thailand and China? Will the Thailand people be more wary of investing in Chinese products?
Well, Megha, the answer to that is yes. And may I point out that it's quite usual for Chinese companies to give fairly large sums as inducements. I'm not going to use any other word, but you know what I mean. As inducements to the local officials to ensure that their company is selected. And possibly it's a record of those inducements that is part of the documents that have been seized, in which case it would be very interesting for the Thai government to look at. I would like to say that the fact is, it's not a coincidence, as Jay has been pointing out, that this is the only building, you have also pointed that out, the only building that collapsed. And what does that tell you about the workmanship? The fact of the matter is, well, whatever you can say about their building infrastructure projects all over the world, a lot of them are also showing problems, especially when natural calamities come. And now you have to build projects that take into account changes in weather, earthquake, etc. If you don't do that and you build your project as though it's going to be 24/7 fine weather all the year round, years and years around for decades, you're going to make a horrible slip up, because these days weather changes are happening very, very often, and you have to build those factors in. There are very clear factors that need to be built in to prevent this kind of earthquake collapse, and I'm quite sure that Jay's building has got one of those, but it's clear that this building does not. And the reality is that it's an earthquake-prone area. And when you have an earthquake-prone area, then you have to ensure precautions against earthquakes. Obviously, a Chinese company was in a hurry to build it, or whatever, and they didn't take those precautions. And clearly, the authorities that looked through their plans did not check. So there's a lot to find out, and there's a lot of individuals who should be basically held accountable for the very tragic loss of life in this one building in the whole of Bangkok. And may I again remind you, it's a very proud country, very ancient culture, and they're not going to be satellites of any country, I can tell you. They were not of the United States, they were not of Russia, and they are not going to be satellites of China. They are a proud, independent people, the Thai. Thank you, Megha.
Ambassador Stobdan, the question that should be raised over here about the mentality of the Chinese, the ethics of Chinese nationals, the CCP, because the fact that this is such a tragedy that has taken place, there are just about 90 people that are still buried under the debris, under the rubble. And what do the Chinese do? Instead of issuing statements, apologizing for what has happened, taking onus, taking responsibility for what has happened, they have just sneaked in their people, these engineers and project managers and directors, and given them the instruction to please pull out these documents and blueprints so that they are not caught in the limbo and put behind bars and blamed for this.
We are aware about how the Chinese behave, the Communist Party behave. We've been watching that for the last many years. I think this kind of incident keeps happening in Africa, where the Chinese are, or Latin America, wherever. I have seen in Central Asia, they do all the time, but they get away. The problem with China is that they don't allow this thing to become a diplomatic issue. Now, in this case, this is a government-owned company, the Chinese Railway number 10 or whatever company is holding this 49% stake. So, I don't know how government is going to step in. Otherwise, they will make it a small private issue, and the officials will be bribed, and they get away. The problem with China is, or the Chinese, is that they always try to exploit opportunities from crisis, or they make something out of this crisis. I'm sure this incident will be used in some different way within China and outside. That's the art they have learned in so many years now. So they get away in the world. Even the Americans keep quiet now, amazingly, like Europeans have kept quiet. The Taiwanese are now keeping quiet on all these issues. So I'm not very hopeful Chinese will sideline all these issues, and they'll get away. Their behavior, we know how they work. It's amazing. Could be this is a reflection of the corruption that is there in the Communist Party or in the Chinese system. They don't articulate all these issues, but you can only see through this incident. Something happens in Bangkok or something happens somewhere else, you can only make out. Otherwise, nobody knows the truth in China and outside how they carry on all these kind of projects, Belt and Road, and so many things. In Pakistan, we have seen every day there is such problem there in Karachi or in Northwest Frontiers and all these things. So it's all corruption. Corruption is a business there. It goes on. I think it's a culture, not just a business, but it's a culture.
Gautam Mukherjee, do you think the Thai government will let them get away with this?
I think to a certain extent, Megha, the point is that in China, they can control the information flow because it's a single Communist Party rule. So they will control the narrative within their own country. As far as Thailand is concerned, it is unlikely to blow up into a large incident. There will be some negotiations, no doubt, and the matter will be over. Whether, Thailand as an economy does need Chinese investment and has been courting it for quite some time. It's not a very big economy. It is dependent very largely on tourism, which has been fluctuating. Now quite a lot of what used to go to Thailand people who used to go to Thailand are going to Vietnam instead. They need the Chinese investment and have been courting it. And so I don't think they're going to blow one such thing into a major issue. They're going to find ways to rationalize this, both sides. The Chinese, of course, will, because it's their company and it's a government company at that. And the Thais also will probably blame the previous administration and cover it up.
Jaishankar Mukherjee, are you surprised? Are you shocked? What is the people's reaction in Bangkok that this Chinese company has not even released a statement taking responsibility for this devastation that has happened?
Certainly I am. Not only I am shocked, many people, my Thai colleagues, my Indian friends and Indian colleagues are all shocked that why this one building has collapsed and how Chinese government is reacting to it. So far, there is not a single statement by the authorities, by the government, and they are just trying to steal documents from the debris. Is not the act Thai people will ever accept. Rather, yes, they can manipulate it later on, or they can go away with it. But right now, the frustration, the feelings about Chinese government and Chinese people are really, really bad. Not only with me, the entire society to a large scale. There are 1,000 buildings who are coming up under construction in every nook and corner of Bangkok city, but out of few thousands, only one fell. So this cannot be spared under any circumstances. Megha.
Okay, on that note, I'm out of time. I thank all of you for joining me on the telecast. And thanks for watching Newsx.